LeBron James and the Lakers are really close to being on a 5-game winning streak. Instead, it's just 2, but they can continue to build momentum tonight. Russell Westbrook is looking more comfortable at home. Just 6 turnovers combined in his last 2 games. That's a step in the right direction. Will AD be starting at the 5 again? Their first experiment was a success on Sunday. Lakers and Rockets for round 2 from Staples Center. We'll have it for you on Spectrum Sportsnet. Tip-off coming up at 7:30. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Chris McGee, the Hall of Famers, Big Game James Worthy. We got Allie, we got Brez. You're going to hear from Trudell, and making his first start of the season, the GM and head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks, 5-time champion, Big Game James.
Oh, yes.
Derek Fisher.
Isn't it easy?
What's up, guys and ladies?
How we doing, buddy?
How goes it? Everything's good, man.
Everything's
Thankfully.
good?
Yeah, family's good, healthy. No complaints, man. Good to be back here. Great to see the group.
Big Game, if you could have bet Fish would look good, you would have bet yes. Because you just know it's a lock.
Locked in.
Lock it up. Fish with a nice suit on to start off the year. All right, the Lakers, with their first easy win of the season on Sunday night. They really have been in some battles. The Lakers' big 4, they came to play. Carmelo Anthony, we're going to talk about him later on in the show. 5 of 8 from 3. Russell Westbrook, close to a triple-double, 28 and 9. AD, 16 and 13, the double-double. And LeBron, 15, 7, and 8. Fish, I do want to start with you. I know it's early in the season. You've been busy. But what's the early season kind of takeaway from D-Fish?
Yeah, I mean, not surprised with the inconsistencies that we've seen so far. There have been moments where, you know, it looks like a team that can become that championship caliber team that we assume they will be at the beginning of the season. And then there have been moments where it's leaving you wondering, will this team be able to actually reach that level? You know, I think we have to remain patient, though, overall. Defense is now the harder aspect of the game to get everybody on the same page with in the NBA compared to offense. Offense, when you have the talent that the Lakers have, you can put the ball in anybody's hands to get 2 points. But what you cannot do is have anybody on the court to stop the other team from scoring 2 or 3 points. And that's what this Lakers team is still figuring out. The coaching staff has a tough job ahead to figure out that balance. THT and Ariza being out complicates that situation a little bit, because the glue guys are what this is really going to ultimately come down to, how those guys perform around Russ, AD, and LeBron.
When you and I were talking earlier when you first came and you had mentioned Ariza's name, it just kind of hit me that the one thing that they have been lacking, we've been talking so much about, is that kind of wing defender. They have one, he just hasn't played, and he's not going to play, but he's kind of been forgotten a little bit. So I'm glad you brought up that name. Still some youth as well, THT. Kendrick Nunn. We have not seen those guys in the regular season. Right, James?
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've yet to see, you know, the coaching staff utilize, you know, all his weapons. I mean, we know Tucker is going to be vital. We think of Nunn as a good offensive guy that can create, but his strength upper body, he's a really good defensive player, too. So when you think of what they lost, as Fish was noting, the defense is where you're going to get the energy that's going to flow into the offense. But when you lose guys like Pope and Schroeder and Caruso and Kuz, you lose like a big part of that.
A lot of defensive guys right there.
And so that's what they're still trying to figure out, why they're not on that string yet.
How important is it, James? And I know listen, when we looked at those first 10 games, which we did a lot in the preseason, a very favorable schedule. So it's a little disappointing that they're 4-3. We all know why. They let one slip away. How important is it to not overlook the Rockets tonight? A game that you know you should win.
Well, until they knocked the rust off, you know, we saw what happened in OKC, which OKC, they can beat teams if you don't respect them or, you know, take them seriously for 4 quarters. That can happen with Houston. Houston's a young team that's trying to prove themselves. So, yeah, I mean, until you can figure out, you know, when the continuity is going to be there consistently, you got to really compensate and do all the other things, not turn the ball over, take each quarter seriously, you know, the effort's got to be there. You can't give up offensive rebounds, take care. You know, we talk about that all the time until they get players back, then they can connect and have some time. You know, I figure if they could get it together by Christmas or January, I'd be like, okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's always the time of year that even for teams that have been together for a while, when you're a veteran basketball team, Christmas is around that time of year that you start to realize what version of our team is here now. Yeah. Are we playing at the level we're capable of at this point in the season? And do we have more room to grow? This team clearly has a lot of room to grow between now, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. But arguably, they're going to be playing their best basketball later in the season, closer to All-Star break, into March. Yeah. And if that is the case, they will be able to accomplish the things that a lot of people believed before the season started.
All right, Lakers and Rockets will tip off at 7:30 right here on Spectrum Sportsnet. For more on tonight's matchup, let's get you live to Staples Center. Lakers reporter Mike Trudell standing by with more. Mike?
What's happening? Hey, Fish.
Mikey T.
See you, man.
What's up, brother?
Been too long. I'm a little bit more focused, okay? Just having you in the studio as opposed to Big Shot. So that's good. I'm on top of it. Yeah. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is. Anyway, with Frank Vogel. So, Gitter, you know the drill lately, right? It's been trying to figure out who's in, who's out. And thankfully, I think it's about the same as what it was last game. But let's still hear that in Frank's words to start the presser a couple moments ago.
Wayne is still in the same place. Practice with the G League yesterday. Everything went well. Pretty sore today, so I probably won't play him, but it'll be a uniform. LeBron's going to be a game-time decision. Anthony's in. Dwight is out. And I think that's everybody.
Do you expect to start the same way you did last game, Frank?
Yes.
And then when you looked at the tape and saw the fourth quarter, was part of that just being up or getting out of some of the defensive principles that you guys had built upon to get the lead? And is there anything you think that applies then for this game with the rematch?
Yeah, I think it was more offensively, even though we gave up more points in the fourth. The ball didn't move well enough in that second half in general, but especially in the fourth quarter. And we weren't finishing when we did get good looks, so they had more runouts. Was the biggest thing. Had a couple of defensive breakdowns, but I think it was more that than anything.
Frank, LeBron tweeted last night how excited he was to play again tonight. So, what would it take for him to have the decision not to play tonight?
I have no idea. They tell me he's questionable. His game time decision. I'm expecting him to play unless I'm told otherwise. But that he said still listen to his game time decision.
Frank, I know you've sort of gone forward with this idea that the starting lineup could change based on matchup. But that being said, as you are getting more into the small lineup look and the rotation, is it a difficult conversation with your centers and to try and talk to them about that?
Nope. They know that we have been at our best over the last couple of years, being a hybrid unit. Where sometimes AD plays the 5, sometimes he's at the 4. They both knew that when they signed here. And, the whole mindset of our whole group is we're trying to win a championship this year, and whatever sacrifice is required, everybody's all in, So it is one of those things that I'll say that, this is just something we're looking at right now. But we do intend to, start big again soon. But like I said, we're just exploring our roster flexibility.
All right, there's Frank Vogel. One little note for you guys for the Houston Rockets. So Daniel Tice, who started at center in the last matchup on Sunday, won't play today. He's got a sore toe. Haven't heard yet. Steven Silas didn't want to say who the starter in his place could be. It could be Alperen Şengün, the rookie who played pretty well. They could go a little smaller off the bench with a wing like KJ Martin. So we'll see, pending for that, but no Tice tonight, Geeter.
All right, thank you, Mike, for that update. Appreciate it. So the Lakers starting lineup, if LeBron plays, he's a game-time decision. What you got, big game? I see that's Mike.
Nah, I was going to tell Mike Trudell to unbutton his jacket. He had a nice little three-piece.
He did have a little three-piece going, didn't he?
I'll catch him next time.
By the way, the starting lineup, James, 15 minutes they played together on Sunday. They had a net rating of almost 32, so they dominated when they played together.
Yeah, when you look at, Bradley getting inserted, and you look at the, Bazemore is a defensive guy, and, the energy of Westbrook, along with LeBron and AD, a defensive guy. That seemed to work thus far. Obviously they got some work to do, but you're looking at, those 3 guards right there, the first 3 right there are defensive-minded players, and they, kind of set the tone.
Fish, from a coach's perspective, and I know it's the Rockets, but you had success, you run it back, right?
Yeah, I think, you had success starting the game with this particular lineup. I think, as Frank Vogel just mentioned, like, this is something that they're looking at right now. They're evaluating all sorts of situations, lineups, big lineup, small lineup. And so this is going to be good for him to have in the bank as a staff, how his team looks when they're small and AD's at the 5.
Yeah, and it makes sense with Dwight missing another game because of neck stiffness to go with this. All right, we're taking you to tip-off between the Lakers and Rockets.